Globespan is a Guyanese dialogue moving towards the realization of one nation in one Guyana. It's a platform that offers an all-inclusive discussion with the pros, the cons, the ones that have taken a side, and the ones that stand in the middle. Globespan believes agreeing and disagreeing are part of the nation building. Globespan believes that every Guyanese voice is part of the nation building. As we span the globe for voices from the diaspora and those living home, we stand on our commitment that we are all Guyanese working towards one nation in one Guyana. This land is our land now. As the world turns on its axis, bringing changes, we as Guyanese must adapt to those changes for a better Guyana for all. Globespan stands on its axis with its belief that one nation, one Guyana, one destiny must include voices from all corners.
Good night, everyone, and welcome to all our listeners from Globespan Television. Tonight, we have a special guest, Dr. Shamir Ali, former Guyana ambassador to Kuwait, and also professor. But before we get to him, I want to tell all of you that Globespan is a fair and balanced network, and we span the globe and discuss all issues. We have what is called an inclusive format on all issues: political, economic, social, religious, cultural, health, education, or you name it. We discuss all the issues here on Globespan Television. Now, this program is being made available by Mr. Noir Singh and by Mr. Devin Bissoon and Mr. Ryan Gobin, our two technical directors. And as I said, the views expressed tonight are solely those of our guests and not neither the staff nor management of Globespan Television. So with that said, I want to just let all our sponsors know that we welcome you and we greatly appreciate your help in order to make this program available. And to all you, our listeners, you are welcome to our program every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night again to everyone. And Dr. Shamir, good night, sir.
Good evening. Namaste. Ramadan Mubarak to all listeners. Thank you, esteemed Professor Dr. Rose, for the opportunity to share some thoughts. Looking forward to our discussion, and a special thank you to Globespan, Nohar, Kevin, Ryan, and teams.
Tonight, we'll be talking about the Middle East war, the war between the United States, Israel and Iran. And it's affecting everyone now because of gas price rising and everything else. That should benefit Ghana because the government will have more money for its oil and everything else, but it's going to hit the pockets of every single individual you know of here in the United States and around the world. So, Dr. Shamir, you are the ambassador for Guyana to Kuwait, and you spent at least about 3 or 4 years there. What the Middle East is like when it comes to foreign policy and diplomacy?
For Guyana, it has been based on strengthening economic ties, cooperation, particularly with Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, the Islamic Development Bank, and United Arab Emirates. The key aspects are for economic diversification in Guyana, to get energy cooperation, and recently a shared Islamic identity since President Dr. Irfan Ali has assumed his tenure, and for Guyana to be involved. Particularly, Guyana has been active with the Islamic Development Bank as the last and 57th member in 2016. Ministers Jordan, Patterson, and myself were able to receive a $900 million grant and credit line for the years 2018 to 2022 and Guyana has disbursed from the ISDB 236 million. Also because of that relationship, Qatar has given Guyana in May 2023 a $350 million loan for the Schooner to Crane Highway at a 5.5-year grace period and 20-year to payback. In October 2025, the Inter-American Development Bank pledged with the ISDB $1 billion for 5 years to support development in Guyana and in Suriname. Kuwait, in particular, has helped Guyana with a $51 million debt write-off and a $1.6 million grant for the East Coast Road project. So Guyana has been active. Currently, we have an ambassador only in Qatar. I have chargé d'affaires in Kuwait, and there's a desk in United Arab Emirates, but nothing in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, other than the governor, who is Vice President Jagdeo, and alternate governor is Dr. Ashni Singh at the Islamic Development Bank.
Now, tell our listeners, you spent about 3 years there in Kuwait. How do Kuwaitis and the rest of the people in the Middle East view Guyana or Guyanese?
Well, during our term, we tried to promote Guyana with show, tell, and know every day for 4 years. And they have, and we've had, Guyana was known as the ambassador, who was a single take ambassador. So every activity, the microphone was always in front of my face, and I helped to promote. Up to today, I'm asked to be on a Kuwait program to discuss exactly what we're discussing here in Kuwait on the Kuwait program. So Guyana has had a high activity rate, but sadly, I'm told regularly Guyana is not so active since the Ali's departure. For whatever the reason, I cannot, but Guyana has a very good name and image, but we can do some more work in activities so as to get the name and the country either in the media or a project a month, project something, and to do better. But they have a very high impression, particularly in Guyana, and the news from Kuwait has traveled to the GCC countries, and so I'll say a very good. But they were a little bit disappointed this week when the president's statement did not talk much about GCC, and the emphasis was in Iran and Israel. And I says, those are technical nuances, but Guyana loves GCC.
Now, my next question to you will be this. We have, you said, an embassy in Qatar.
Yes.
We have a chargé d'affaires in Kuwait.
Yes.
And a desk where?
In United Arab Emirates.
Saudi Arabia is about the largest country or the most productive country in that region.
Yes.
Do you think we should have had established diplomatic relationship, ambassador level with Saudi Arabia?
In 2016, for my first report, and every report every month to the end, and in my writing since then, I've actually promoted that. I've engineered it at one of our meetings with Crown Prince MBS and His Majesty when I visited. I was able to get back channel a commitment that if Guyana become an active member in the area, we will be exempt to allow our development plans to flourish. MBS has that same offer. I'm in touch with them among my circles almost every week on Thursday before the Friday Jummah. And yes, we should. Why we do not, I believe it's the authorities might be scared of OPEC, but don't be scared. Dialogue, communication, explain. MBS is a reasonable, personable person. I met him. He's in my circle. and he is agreeable. Why we do not have one, I do not know. And I hope Dr. Jagdeo, who is well known, Dr. Chetty Jagan is well known, his name, and Dr. Ishmael, who was the first ambassador in Kuwait, are well known in the area. They are at a loss to know why there's no embassy in Riyadh. Yes. And what we need to know is, irrespective of what happens, Saudi Arabia is the grand pooper of the area. Everybody in the OIC, the Islamic Development Cooperation, which Guyana is the 56th member, and the last one, and 57th at ISDB, all know Saudi Arabia is the grand pooper of poopers.
Folks, you're listening to Globespan Television. My name is Dr. Asquith Rose. With me is the former ambassador to Kuwait, Dr. Shamir Ali. Now, Dr. Ali, my question to you, before we get to the war, I want to just clarify some things. OPEC, a cluster of countries that form oil producing countries that form a group called OPEC. It's oil producing, exporting countries. Guyana today is an oil producing country. Do you think Guyana will benefit if it should join OPEC?
Yes, yes, yes. I have been to meetings. They have promised, even before Guyana had oil, with Minister Jordan, promised to get assistances, to send their expert with the Islamic Development Bank team when the ISD were going to Guyana to assist Guyana on how to do feasibility surveys, how to do project submission, $1 million projects. Minister Jordan says we couldn't afford them. Well, OPEC was prepared to help us. Back channels, they're prepared to bend the rules because Guyana is a new member, so the same rule would not have applied. Those are still around, those conditions, those assistances. They are gladly from that. Kuwait, the Minister of Oil, who's Dr. Ali, an American trained from Lehigh University, was prepared to sponsor Guyana on the OPEC with special condition. I did not get a response when I was at the embassy in Kuwait. No one responded yes or no, and it's there. I made the effort. I attended, they invited me, attended all their programs and their meetings and their exhibition. I have over there some on my website. I have over 30,000 pictures. So, yes, but I believe that the affair will be expected to follow the rules of the big countries like Nigeria, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, like Kuwait, like Venezuela. No, no, no. There are rules and there's exemption and there's opportunity because as a new member. And by Guyana being a nation with only 12% Muslims, a member of the Islamic Development Bank through the efforts of Dr. Jagdeo, he's the one who got Guyana as a member. At one of the meetings, I asked the Minister of Finance of Saudi Arabia, how come a small country like Guyana with 12% Muslims became a member of the ISDB? Standing with him, I did not know, was the attorney from the ISDB who handled Guyana case. And he says the Guyana presented a good portfolio, and to the legal advisor, one Muslim was enough for him, but it was a very good presentation from the government, and he strongly recommended, and that's how Guyana became the 57th member way back in 2018, to which Minister Jordan attended in Indonesia, I think. So the relationship are there.
Okay, now.
If I can just add a little bit, Guyana has diplomatic relations with Iran since September the 6th, 1986. Dr. Chetty Jagan visited in 2001 and he met the Iranian foreign minister at the NAM summit, the Non-Alignment Movement Summit. In 2009, Guyana president met the Iranian foreign minister. In 2010, on January the 20th, Guyana had a mission in Tehran for a 3-day visit. In 2010, we had agreement for do visa, political services, and mineral mapping. And in 2013, the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Guyana shelved the mineral mapping, and the Guyana delegation went to Kuwait, UAE, and Iran in the 2010. 2017, 11, on January the 17th, we had a non-resident ambassador from Iran to Guyana. And 2011, there was always a non-resident. So Guyana has always had an on and off relationship. When I was in Kuwait, Iran was prepared to assistances, but because I was not accredited to Iran, you couldn't do any official work. But back channels, there was a lot of communication. I'm in touch with Iran almost daily. They're still in my WhatsApp and we communicate. So I have strong relationships continuing.
On January 3rd, the Trump administration went into Venezuela and seized Nicolas Maduro, the president, and his wife. Now, and they're being charged for narcotic trafficking and so other charges as well. Now, United Nations Charter, Section 2 or 2, Charter 2, Section 4 states that the head of a state is immune to foreign jurisdiction, foreign criminal jurisdiction. But nothing came out of this because President Trump don't believe in the status quo, as we all know, and he believed that America can do whatever it wants to do. Now, do you think it's right to go into a country and just remove the head of state like that?
Based on the law, with all due respect, the answer is no. But their claims and counterclaims and due process is entitled to every human being in this entire world, 8 billion of us. And President Maduro, yes, their claims and their valid claims. I've seen some evidence of it. I happen to have met him. I met him in Kazakhstan. I spoke to him about the border. And so he's a reasonable person, and hopefully his defense will bring his defense out and he will get a reasonable trial. But yes, that is a violation of all the rules and norms. But there's also an old saying I learned a long time ago from Sir Donald Jackson that might at times are right, but God will judge in the end.
Let me premise my comment by saying that, look, I have no sympathy for Maduro on his arrest because my complaint is this. Guyana is a small country, and he knew very well the border dispute was settled in 1899. But he continued to use this as a threat to invade or to take over Essequibo. And he knew this was wrong. So by him being moved or kidnapped, or whatever word you want to use, to the United States, I have no sympathy for him. I hope the leader that is there now don't come up with this stupid thing that they want to seize Guyana's territory again. He knew fully well Guyana can't fight Venezuela. And instead of maintaining good relationship with Guyana, no, he chose to go on a warish path. So, you know what they say? Karma. What goes around comes around. So,
Dr. Rose, I did ask President Maduro, why are you after little Guyana with your F-15 and F-16? One F-16 and we all will lie flat on the ground. He says he's prepared to talk to Guyana and he has had meetings with our leaders to have the area in dispute, quote unquote, to have a joint economic development. And he was thinking like that. Mr. Well, will you explain to the authorities to do it? So he had a different vision for a joint economic development so as to avoid it. But I can only say what I know and what I asked. I did ask him about that border. And he also said that it was Guyana who was being arrogant. Dr. Ishmael, he had high praise for Dr. Ishmael, loud praise. He said he wished Dr. Ishmael had not left and stayed on, that he would be able to work out a joint agreement. Dr. Ishmael went on to Kuwait.
I don't voice my opinions on these issues, but I will strongly disapprove of any joint agreement. Guyana's territory has been marked off since 1899.
Okay.
And Venezuela knew this. All the presidents following before him knew this. So I think he was just trying to intimidate Guyanese. But as I said, what goes around comes around. So let's go to the war in Iran. United States said that Iran was on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon. And President Trump says he wants regime change. One word, another time he says he wants to have a say in the leadership and so forth and so forth. Well, I don't know what's the real reason for this war. Because last year he said that they destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities. Now this year, they said Iran was advised within 2 weeks will have developed a nuclear weapon. What is your take on the war with Iran, Ambassador?
I'm in touch with Iran daily, so I hear on everybody's side. I hear Washington side, I hear Israeli side, I hear Iran side, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, everybody else. But the best of my knowledge, what the world is not talking about is the Sunni-Shia divide. I have seen it. I did not know much about it, and it's not talked about it, just like the word caste is never talked about in India. Similarly, in the GCC, I'm a very straight talker, and I'm a professor, so I educate my audience. As a result of that, the 6 GCC countries have this fear on Iran. Iran is a 3,000-year civilization, with all due respect. They're highly educated, unbelievably educated. Science, art, technology, you give it. None of the other GCC countries have reached that kind of position that Iran has able to reach. And the Sunni-Shia divide is one in the back channel, in the back room, where the GCC is smiling that Iran will be finally come to its mark or belittle or knock down or whatever word you wish to call. But with all due respect, they're not stupid people. Those of us who have the chance to interface with them, they're brilliant, they're strategic, they're a little bit like the Chinese. They do not think for the next 3 months like we do in the American stock market for the earnings per share and the 1-year plan. They think 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years. Common sense will tell you, if that is the background of that nation, they're not stupid people. Yes, they have nuclear. Yes, and they have it. Don't Israel have nuclear also? What this also is going to mean is Saudi Arabia is going to want nuclear. Qatar got money, they'll want nuclear. UAE will have, and we'll gone all over again to a nuclear world.
But the point remains where Iran has a population of about 93 to 94 million people. And the Iranian government, regime after regime, has been doing a lot of things to its own population. They're not allowed to protest. They're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. Everyone will be reading the papers, the social media. I'm not going to go into the details of those. But what I want to ask you, on the United States, Iran is no match to the United States when it comes to weaponry. I don't think Iran is even a match to Israel. But my question to you is this. Do you think President Trump was right to attack Iran the way it's being attacked right now?
We're creating a dangerous precedent. Dangerous precedent. because that president will give President Putin laughing to the bank with Ukraine, and President of China is laughing on Taiwan. We have created a precedent that we should not. There would have been other methods. But I believe that, leaders, sometimes we make mistake, and the success in Venezuela, my channels in Washington told me they expected a similar, that the population would have risen up, but that has not happened. Instead, the population is celebrating the new leader, and a small group with the Kurdish border is doing some agitation. So I believe that this might have been a mistake. Time will tell. We overplayed without enough planning.
Iran is a serving nation like all other nations, but President Trump has said that Iran was not negotiating in good faith. During the time of the attack, there were negotiations taking place. Now, my question to you is this again. Attacking Iran, do you think they will come to the negotiation table after?
My back channel from Iran, Oman, is that they were close to a deal, and Iran was prepared to give up almost 9 of the 10 items. And the day after is when the bombs started. That is from Oman at the highest level, who were doing the negotiation with the American team.
The United States and Israel, I don't know which country did it, has killed Iran's supreme leader, Khomeini. And now they've appointed his son to replace him as the supreme leader, who they said is a hardliner. And today I saw where he issued a statement that Iran will never negotiate its no nuclear negotiation will take place between the United States and Iran at no time at all.
That is a statement today, but yes, he is the hardliner. And when I was in Kuwait, I learned from the Iranian ambassador that the leader, the Ayatollah, he's the one who are holding them back on a fatwa, which is a religious order. In the Sunni faith, the imams are an authority, and there were 88 imams that made the key decisions. And the Ayatollah was the one who gave a fatwa: no nuclear weapon unless the security, welfare, and well-being of Iran is threatened. He's now gone. His son, his second son, is there, and he is more tougher. But with all due respect, I think the power of getting a ceasefire lies with His Excellency MBS in Saudi Arabia. He has the power, he has the authority to get everybody to the table towards a ceasefire.
Now, what I can't fathom is this. The Iranian leaders are allowing the country to be destroyed and the people to be killed over what? Is this brinksmanship? Is this power? Because let's face it, Iran started to attack its neighboring states, said American bases, but now it's going after these countries, our refinery, their banks, and so forth and so forth. Do you think Iran is making the right move? Because Iran is turning the Gulf states against itself. Do you think?
It is quite true, but on their side, what they're saying and they're thinking is the GCC is the one who allowed the missiles to hit Iran. The GCC allowed the authorities to move the people into hotels and buildings away from the various installations, and so it became their area for target. And they go on and they explain their side of the story, and they feel that Saudi Arabia has let them down and not stood up for them. They figure the GCC, with the power of the petrodollar, did not stand up to find a decision, and they feel that the U.S. moved about $10 billion worth of equipment from the GCC Iron Dome protection away from the GCC onto Israel, and the GCC just allowed it. So there was a little conflict between Iran and those decisions from the GCC leadership. But yes, I think they are suffering. They are suffering very badly, and they're hoping that they're fighting their very best to hope that the GCC will make a move. There was a UN Security Council meeting today, and hopefully tomorrow we can have some good news. But yes,
What,
the people are suffering. Yes.
what do you think Iran should have done to avoid this war? Iran had any leverage and what do you
Leverage,
think?
well, it had to make an agreement. There's always discussion. There were an agreement. President Trump suspended the agreement and he wanted the agreement. And don't forget, Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu is fighting for his survival. He's preaching and talking about Greater Israel and taking over all the territories, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, into wider Egypt. And he has statements and he has some following. So that's all in the mix. And he's very close to President Trump and the politics in the US all put together. So it's a conglomeration of items that are in the mix. And Israel is everybody knows the last war, all the nuclear items were buried. Now suddenly they're no longer buried. Because I say, all the inspectors say the items were buried.
Now, 20% of the world's oil passed through the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has control over. But that oil is going to China and the other Asian countries, Japan, those countries. It's not coming to the United States. So by Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is not fighting its own friend or going against its own friend, which is China.
They have a back channel agreement that the Navy of Russia and China will escort their vessels, and their flag vessels will not. Other flag vessels are not so lucky. That's the best of my knowledge.
But it said no ships go. Well, I saw a report where there's 6 ships went through because they turned off their radar system not to be detected. And but most of the ships are stuck there.
14 are stuck and 3 got hit today. They're flying different countries' flag. I think one was Thailand, one was, and the other 2 I don't remember. But 14 are stuck after the 3 were stuck by ordinary boats laden. 14 stopped and didn't move any forward today.
As you know, our prices have skyrocketed here in the United States and around the world. And when our prices increase, every other commodity price is going to increase. So Guyana faces a high inflation rate, the United States and almost all countries. What can Guyana do to offset this inflationary rate that is coming through?
All countries are faced. They've released oil today, but it's not enough. It's only about 20%. Other nations will need to have more supplies available, but it will have serious multiplier effect. It will be it is bordering a catastrophe, especially for the poor countries. The rich countries with oil, they will get oil revenues, but they will suffer in the higher cost of everything: transportation, fertilizer, food, everything. Oil is a medium that facilitates all of those. So there is need for a ceasefire and a talk, and tomorrow morning it can be stopped. Yes, they are pig-headed, but they're a small nation. They're no comparison, but they're being taken advantage of, and they feel that the GCC, their brother in this Ramadan month, is not standing up for them. That's how they feel from their communication today and their side. And this is the very special month, Laylatul Qadr, and the Shiite, they started out yesterday, and the figure GCC is not standing up, they're silent.
As I said, the oil prices will affect Guyana because almost whatever Guyana imports are being transported by oil. And we know cash grant coming sometime because it was passed in the budget and so forth. But my question to you is this: what else could Guyana do? Because inflation in Guyana is very high as we speak today, and it will climb higher because of the rising oil prices. What should the government of Guyana do to offset these rising costs?
President Ali, Vice President Dr. Jack Deo, and Minister Dr. Ashney Singh are three experts. They know, they've been through it, they understand, and they know Guyana has the oil wealth. And I'm sure they're thinking of ways and means to find a plan or plans to help Guyana. So give them some time, and hopefully people start asking and inquiring, and they will consider, because they know the suffering will be great. And we will get, but Exxon will be more richer than Guyana, because our take is a small take as against Exxon take. They will be, as you say, rolling in the dough with the increase of the oil revenues. But
as you know, Dr. Ali, Iran is a very, very proud nation. Do you think they will ever surrender?
no, they will fight to the last person. They will not surrender, but they'll find ways for an agreement. And their ideas being floating around. Oman was working and is still working. Qatar is back channel working on something. Turkey is working, but the name I expected to hear is Saudi Arabia, and that name is missing in action. That's my take. So you need Saudi Arabia in it, because Saudi Arabia has the clout with Washington 47. He has the clout at the hero's level. Don't forget, oil is being traded in petrodollar. China wants oil to be traded in petro yuan. So China is waiting for opportunity. They have already been plugging every day this war, more oil in petro yuan, less in US dollar. And when President Trump knows that, I'm sure he knows that, that is not something he will want to hear.
If there's one, two, or three Middle East countries that could convince the United States to end this war, which are those?
Oh, my Lord. It's easy, simple. In the order: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE. They're all buddies at 47, those three. And UAE is silent as of today, best of my knowledge. And KSA is silent, best of my knowledge. But Qatar is trying with Oman and Turkey.
But do you think the United States will listen to them?
Well, President Trump is a deal maker. And yes, those are three of his buddies. Those three countries are in his buddies. In his last Middle East tour, there was his top buddies. They're in touch. WhatsApp connection, strong.
Now, Dr. Shami, put on your diplomatic hat here, and let's deal with diplomacy. What type of diplomacy is needed in the Middle East right now? Iran bombing its neighbors. Its neighbors are more now leaning towards the United States and drifting away from Iran. What type of diplomacy is needed right now in the Middle East?
The same one that has worked in World War I, World War II, and to avoid a World War III is dialogue, discussion, give and take. That was about to happen with Iran and the nuclear program the day before the 28th of March. The bombs start going. And many are saying back channel, for that matter, everybody in my circle says this is an Israeli war. Israel pushed 47. And whatever the reasons are, that's the perception.
Folks, you're listening to Globespan Television, broadcasting live here in New York. Just stay tuned. Don't switch off, because we're going to commercial break right now. All from OneSupplier.com. All from one is a number, supplier.com. It's a place where you can purchase all your West Indian food, your groceries, roti, curry fish, curry, curry, spices, meat, etc. And the good thing is that you can use your EBT card, your credit card, or your debit card. And these items, whatever you order, can be delivered directly to your home. They're located on 10809 Liberty Avenue in Richmond Hill. And the number to call is 718-551-3292. Let me repeat that. 718-551-3292. All from one supply where you can get every single thing you need when it comes to West Indian dishes. So don't hesitate to give All from One Supply a call. And my favorite one is Globespan, who has been in business for over 30 years. So they have a wealth of experience to take you to and fro any place in the world. Globespan will make your arrangements, your travel arrangements so easy. Book your hotels and everything else. Leave all your traveling headaches to Globespan staff. They're very, very capable, and they will make sure that you get where you're going. Now, they have upcoming tours to Dubai. Well, I think this tour is going to be canceled now. India, South Africa, Norway, etc. And the number to call is in New York is 718-845-0437. Remember, they have offices in New York, Guyana, and in Trinidad. So New York is 718-845-0437. Georgetown, 227-1701. And Rosal Tongue up the quarantine, 337-4287. In Shaguna in Trinidad, 665-3383. And in Val Park in Trinidad, 643-1604. Call Globespan for all your traveling needs, and they will make sure that you get there at ease without any headaches whatsoever. Thank you. Now, Dr. Ali, as I said, this war has become a crisis now, not only for the Middle East, not only for Iran, not only for the United States, but for the rest of the world. Because all over the world now, gasoline prices have increased. In the United States, gasoline price jumped from like $3.10 a gallon to now it's about $3.85 a gallon in some states. New York is about, depends where you go, but $3.60, $3.70 a gallon. New Jersey, about $3.50 a gallon and so forth. And for the West California's place is almost $6, $7 a gallon. Americans are facing what they call inflation, even though it's a drop over the years. Americans will not be able to cope. And unlike Americans, most of the countries in the world will not be able to cope. Now, this is an international crisis. Dr. Shamir, how do we get past this?
Senator Graham says the war is costing $1 billion per day. Jack Ma from China, back channel, he's in my WhatsApp, feels that Iran will survive till the end because they will fight a low-tech war as against America's high-tech war. And that is happening today in the Gulf, in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil is likely to hit, right now it's hovering at 100, up and down. 200 is quite possible by next week if the war continues. Washington is aware of it. Some of the generals were not completely in favor of the war because the logistics to defend the Strait of Hormuz is not as easy as on paper. Iran has the advantage in that strait. They have 2 lanes in their portion that they control. Oman has the opposite portion, but it's not much used. It's the Iranian portion. And low-tech destroyers or low-tech equipment or barges or missiles will do damage. So the boats will not, irrespective, unless you have warships, American warship, to follow each boat, they will not, no boat is going to go through, they stop. And the generals, I'm sure the generals are telling President Trump that that is a theory, but in practice, not as easily done. It's a narrow strip. So hopefully the ball is in Washington's court. And in my opinion, I'll do whatever I can. I'll do it again as soon as 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is 10 o'clock in Middle East, to MBS office to get him to move for the sake of the world. And let him, so long as he takes charge, his name is called, one phone call to 47 will make. And I've given them 3 ideas, separate tracks, as to how to facilitate a movement towards a ceasefire. And the ball, in my opinion, is in MBS court. Supported by Qatar and UAE. But he's the grand pooper. He has it. If he decides the time is right, then it will happen.
It has been rumored, but President Trump has not made no comment on this. They're keeping it tight-lipped, that the United States will take over the Strait of Hormuz. The United States have been hinting of putting troops on the ground. That's where they want to put troops on the ground. Do you think that's possible?
Troops on the ground will be a disaster. Iran is a mountainous territory. The Russians could not conquer that neck of the woods for years. No, it will be a disaster. It will be worse than Vietnam. The little bit I know of that area, no, in the end, they will band together and they will see every American forces, around the bad name, and no, boots on the ground will not work. And the stand back channel, they tried with the Kurds. The Kurds realize it's not a winnable and they're not going to get involved and they're standing down. Yes, they talk about the Strait of Hormuz, but it's all theory and practice.
But can they put troops at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz to prevent the Iranians from controlling that?
Well, the Iranians are using all manner of stuffs, and the missiles are coming even in Israel. Because of the news back out in Israel, you're not being told that the destruction that Iran missiles, low tech, is getting through and causing destruction. There's massive destruction in Israel not being seen because you're not allowed. You'll be put in jail. I've got a back channel. There's massive environmental damage. The Iran missile strikes are hitting some structures, buildings. The old buildings with no safe rooms are being obliterated. Some people said it's a mini Gaza. It's happening in Israel. There's one contact says it will cost Israel $400 million to recover in the next decade. My friend in Israel, he's an economist. So they know. But Bibi, Netanyahu, everybody knows, is fighting for survival. His election is coming up, and if he prolongs the war, that it will go. There's some in my back channel feels that President Trump, with all due respect, is using the war as a back channel to avoid his story with the Epstein files. There's strong belief in the Arab world that the President Trump is using this as a diversion. And what we've not talked about from my little common sense, I'm seeing all the elements of what happened in Vietnam. Misinformation and disinformation. So you do not know who is right. And there are 5 propaganda styles. You say nothing, you wait in a news cycle to move on, or you attack the source and you never the substance. And 3, when the item goes international and you start getting hurt, then a process is announced, like the Strait of Hormuz, and then you claim politically motivated items, and then you outlast the media. That's their 5 propaganda style. Plus deny, deflect, and destroy. Those are standard propaganda techniques, and I see elements of that every day. Because each one have a story and believe they're correct.
President Trump says Cuba is next. Your views?
President Marco has always had a thing about Cuba. They're a proud people. They're a proud nation. They've helped so many people around the world. I'm sure he can find accommodation, and hopefully the experience in Iran will make Cuba better. Yes, they're determined. From all my back channel, I'm in touch with ambassadors in Cuba every day. They see the dangers, and I hope they'll find a dialogue or a peaceful transition or accommodation, as is happening in Venezuela, but it's not happening in Iran. The U.S. authorities were hoping Venezuela will repeat. But the other side, America is not known as a conquering nation. We don't have plans to after take over. We failed in Iraq, with respect. We failed in, Libya. We've got worse after we left because we're not, the British are better in taking over and managing nation. They have the plan cut out because they've done it for years. But America is not in that. So saying you're going to have run away, it's not work. There's no history can show it. Venezuela might be a good start. And then you have the check and balance with Iran. So Cuba, I will hope that they wait. But Secretary of State Marco is also high on, and they feel they can do it. But Cuba is a proud nation also.
So do you think they will be able to take over Cuba?
I hope not. I hope that they won't come to that. I hope they won't come to that. I'm using what little connection I have to the Republicans in the circle to temper their enthusiasm with restraint, because the big thing is what happens in November the 3rd when the voters in America decide to go and make some other decisions. The tables will turn. So why are we creating that precedent? Why are we creating the precedent to give away Taiwan as a result of all these moves? Who else will be next? And everybody will, then there'll be no law and order. When we destroy the UN and only go to the UN when we want the votes, like today, boasting 108 countries supporting, but the one that matters is Security Council 15, and Russia and China in the main vote abstain to let the peace prevail, because they're coming up with their resolution to condemn everybody, which is right. They're all at fault. Israel, America, and Iran, all three are at fault.
So what you're saying, that America now attacking Iran, this means that they give carte blanche to Russia to continue its attacks on Ukraine.
Common sense. You don't be a rocket scientist. Simple.
And it's also give China the right now to seize Taiwan.
They have back channel. They're accelerating their plans.
But America will oppose them still, even though...
Yes. But they're going to have World War III. They're going to accelerate their plans. They might wait after November. Right now, today, they're thinking wait after November, see what American voters do or what the Supreme Court does. Their checks and balances in the U.S. to the presidency too, So they're watching, but they're laughing. In my circles, they're laughing and glee. That says they have carte blanche. Precedents created. That's the other danger. So it's a very tumultuous time.
During the Cold War, we had what they call a bipolar system. That means the United States and Russia had power to control the rest of the world. The United States had power to control the Western Hemisphere. Russia had power to control the eastern part of Europe and all those areas. And then we had the third force in underlying movement. Now, when the Berlin Wall tumbled, as remember Reagan said, calling Gorbachev to remove that wall. The Berlin Wall tumbled, and the world reverted back to a unipolar world. The United States having the sole power now to control the rest of the world. But that was short-lived. I think it was in 1989, 1990. By 1994, China came on the world scene. So now we have what they call a
multipolar world.
Well, I don't know. When you say multipolar, explain that.
Well, it means that more than one countries have the will and the wherewithal to sway events globally. China is doing
How many countries have that will and power?
well. China,
Okay.
USA, Russia. Those are the three names that are topical of those three. And China and Russia are with BRICS, supported by Saudi Arabia and the rest. So you have that BRICS, and they're even coming up with their petro-yuan as a new currency as against the dollar. So there are other factors are coming.
I wrote a paper on this concept, multipolar world, unipolar world, and so forth. And I said there was a bipolar world, there was a unipolar world that was short-lived. Now the academics or academia is saying that there's a multipolar world. But my argument in that paper, which I think I'll find a copy and send it to you, is that there's not a multipolar world, it's a tripolar world between three powerful nations.
Yeah, you put it specific, yes, and those are the three I called. Yeah.
You know, so it's not a multipolar world where we have 5-6 nations. It's a tripolar world we have now.
When
but
they
see what
use
the United States is doing.
Yeah.
And Russia has remained absolutely quiet.
And there's a reason for that.
China, not a single word.
There's a reason
to negotiate the end of the war and so forth.
They're working very quietly because they're to benefit and they're watching. They're watching. It's in their interest to wait. China is working.
Some global experts are saying now we might be reverting back to a unipolar world where the United States is a dominant force. What are your views on that?
It might be so until November the 3rd. Right now it is
an election.
And depending on the election, who controls
Congress will not mean that Trump will not go about and do what he wants to do, because it completely vanished the congressional authority from.
Yeah, but there'll be checks and balances. There are checks and balances.
But it's not working for President Trump.
Well, he still is able to convince the team, the leadership of the team, but if the votes are not there, he
said he don't need Congress attempt to go to war. So he's going against the Constitution, one.
Yeah.
And number two, he is not dealing, he has ruptured the status quo. And number three, he has put the United States as an autocratic state. Supposed to be the bastion of democracy. It's no longer that right now. It's autocratic. If you just look at the way they're picking up people and deporting them and everything else, he's even violating or ignoring judges' order. So Trump is unusual in his thinking. He don't believe in the Constitution. He don't believe in Congress holding, giving checks and balances. He don't believe in those things. He's going to act unilaterally.
I agree. But there's checks and balance. In today, his speech, he talks about he's fearful of what the voters will vote for. So in his mind, quiet times, he knows their power rests in the voters. And some members of the Senate and the House are standing up to him, even up to the Chief Justice and a few on the court. So there are checks and balance. I want to believe, yes, he keeps going, but he'll be stopped. You know, there will become a time. Don't be surprised if it happens when we least surprised. There are checks and balances at level. There are various constitution acts. There members of the cabinet can do X, Y, and Z. There are checks and balances. So he will go as far as he can.
Yeah, but we will not have a Congress that will have 2/3 majority to override a veto. That's a given.
At this rate, it can happen. It's not impossible. There's some votes.
The Congress will not.
Not that bad. Not that change.
The Democrats might just get about a 5-6 seat majority, not more than that. All the gerrymandering has been done already, so they will not get more than 5 or 6 seats with a majority. So whatever the laws they want to pass, Trump can override them, and they will need 2/3 vote now to. Trump will veto it, and they will need 2/3 votes now to override that veto, which they will not get. And the Senate is the same thing. So what I'm saying to you, Trump is an unusual president who believes that he can act unilaterally and no one to tell him anything, because if his own Republicans come up against him, he will send somebody to challenge them in their district, and chances that he'll lose the elections. Marjorie Taylor, you see, she had to resign, and she was a fearless congressional woman, but Trump forced her out.
Yep, that's true. That's very true. She's still communicative and telling her story, but yes, she was forced out. Yes.
The Supreme Court of the United States ruled that Trump cannot impose
Tariffs.
tariff.
Yes.
The same day, he imposed 15% tariff, which he said that gave him the right to do, which is part of the Constitution indeed.
And nations have filed suit in the billions that are going through the American courts to claim back their tariffs.
But he said he got no money to give back anybody.
Yes, he said that. He did say that. But you know, sometimes the president is a bully playing dead and see what coffin comes. So I'm hoping in the end that better judgment will. Right now, back channel is he's thinking about settling the war because it's not going to be as easy as he expected. Okay. Some of the generals, all the generals were not in favor, according to what I know. Some had reservation because logistics and the terrain, similar to Afghanistan and with the Russian, it's a nightmare. But
with that said, we have come to the end of the program.
Yes.
Any closing arguments on your part?
Just my 5 recommendations to the government of Guyana: a Singapore and Qatar model for government best practices, an embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with the OIC and ISDB, an embassy in Ethiopia with the African Union with 55 nations, an embassy in Norway, and to use Dubai for the mega project skills through a Guyana Ministry of Planning for 10, 20, and 30 years. And Asian and the world is hoping that this war will end, and my prayer is for there be peace, with Almighty God, Bhagwan, Allah, Yah, and Jah, to find calm, and hopefully there'll be peace for all soon.
Thank you very much. Folks, you have been listening to Globespan Television, the fair and balanced network that invites diversity of all viewpoints. We will discuss with anyone from any political party in Guyana, various political issues, viewpoints, and everything else with anyone so far. Thanks to all our sponsors for making this program available, and to our listeners, a special thanks to you as well, and also to Noir Singh, the CEO, and to make this Globespan available to all our listeners worldwide. We broadcast globally, worldwide. And to Rand Gobin and Devin Bissoon, thanks to our 2 technical directors. And Dr. Shamir, very thanks to you for appearing here tonight. And we welcome your views, and I hope our listeners learn a lot about the Middle East, foreign policy and diplomacy, and so forth. So thanks again to everyone, and have a pleasant rest of the evening. Thank you.
Amen. Amin.